Hello, darlings. Welcome to the Darlyng Parents Podcast, where we discuss all things parenting and provide you with tips and practical advice on how to navigate these parenting streets from real parents and experts. I mean, after all, parenthood is the scariest hood that you'll ever have to go through, and quite frankly, we are all figuring this out. So let's get started with your amazing host, Tara Darlyng, who is a wife and mom of two. Let's begin.
Welcome to the Darlyng Parents Podcast. And on today's episode, we're going to be talking about food and lots of food and how to eat food and everything food. But I wanted to bring on an amazing guest and her name, and I'm going to, of course, have her introduce herself, but I'm going to just read her amazing bio real quick. So today we have the beautiful Ashley Shepard, and she's a self-taught culinary creator. Ashley Shepard, aka Chef Ashley Shep, decided to make her love of food to the masses by launching a movement that focuses on simplifying mealtime. So you know this is going to be good. Getting dinner done faster and destroying the myth that good food has to be bad for you. She's on a mission to help moms across the globe by reclaiming their time during mealtime. She began her meal prep journey as a way to save time and energy, but ended up finding a calling. Chef Ashley Shep is at your service. So guys, I wanted to have her on today because as you guys know, we oftentimes miss meal. We will prepare a meal for the entire family but ourselves. So I wanted to kind of bring her in to get us all the way straight and back to a normal schedule and, teach us how to simplify it because that's what we really want, right? So welcome, Ashley. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm great. So when I first heard what Ashley did, I was like, okay, this is so cool. But I was kind of hesitant because I'm like, oh no, she's gonna check me. She's gonna be like, girl, no, you should be eating healthy. You should be doing this. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't need that right now. But then I thought about you guys, and I was like, you know what? Let me take one for the team. So I'm taking one for y'all. Okay. So, Chef, I'm gonna call you Chef.
Okay, that's fine.
Can you first of all introduce yourself to us through your own words and let us know who you are?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. It's a pleasure to meet and talk to your audience. Before I introduce myself, let me give a caveat. I like ice cream. I like French fries. I'm not here to bash anybody about their eating habits. My task and my mission and my purpose in life is to be able to help people get dinner done faster. So no judgment. I will roll through a drive-through if I need to. So, but
well, thanks for that disclaimer.
Just to let people know. About me, like you said, I am Chef Ashley Shep. I am a personal chef in the Atlanta area, and I am a mealtime strategist. And what that means is I help busy moms get dinner done faster without having to order takeout. And what that basically focuses on, finding ways where you can kind of carve out extra time in your day or once a week or once a month so that you're able to have those hours back that the kitchen has stole from you. And so with that, there's different ideas and strategies that I help moms with, and they're not super complicated. And I try to make it very, very simple, like you said. And so with that, I focus on ways that we can kind of find strategies to get the family involved. If your kids are older, or get hubby involved, that's a tangent we'll talk about because I know a lot of moms and women, they're not like ready to let go and let somebody else help them. And then we end up running ourselves ragged, doing all this stuff that nobody told us we needed to do. And then we're looking at them like, why aren't you helping me? Because they don't know what to do. So we'll talk about that too.
Yes, love it. So let's jump right into it because I was talking to Ashley. I'm going to call you Ashley and Chef, whichever one.
Okay.
I was talking to Ashley before we started recording, and I was telling her, like the one thing I can say off the bat that most of us struggle with is the fact that we are so busy taking care of everyone else but ourselves. And it's not that we don't want to, it's just that we literally forget. And then someone else on the outside may be like, how do you forget to take care of yourself? Like, how do you forget to eat breakfast? How do you forget what you do? And so I wanted to talk to you about that. Like, what are some of the tips that we can start implementing, especially for our moms, that's busy on the go. You have to drop off the kids. You have this, you have, everything to plan. And you just by 6 o'clock, you're like, wow, I did not eat breakfast. I didn't eat anything. Like,
Right. Yeah.
what advice do you have for us to make sure we're on a routine where we're eating? Something simple as that.
Okay. That's a very important thing, and it's real. Like, it happens to literally, like, I don't have any kids right now, but as an entrepreneur and I'm still working a full-time job and things like that, it gets very hectic. And so my number one tip is that you cannot wait until 6 o'clock. You can't wait till 7 o'clock to decide what's for dinner. In the same aspect, you don't want to wait until the morning to decide what's for breakfast. You want food to be something that is on autopilot. So that way it's not another decision for you to make. So, for example, I can't remember what book it's from, but basically we go through hundreds of decisions a day, essentially, depending upon what your job is or how many kids you have, things like that. And at some point you begin to get what's called decision fatigue. And that just means your brain is like, I don't want to make any more decisions. I don't care. And then you just start making irrational decisions or you start making ones that are not in your best interests. And so if you can take out food as one of those processes of you making a decision, that's going to help to alleviate that at least 3 times a day if you're trying to eat 3 meals a day, or even 5 meals a day for some folks if you're snacking. And so what that's going to do, it's going to free up some of your emotional stress. It's going to free up some of your mental stress. And it's also going to help you to make your day run smoother. So, for example, I would say pick a few things to do a week. So let's say, for example, maybe pick 2 breakfast ideas for the week. And if that's too many, just pick 1. And you would just eat that same breakfast for the week. So, like, for example, oatmeal is a good option. Or like yogurt if you're looking for some, you could do Greek yogurt or some protein, something like that. And just eat that same thing each morning. And I know some people are like, oh, I don't want to eat the same thing every morning. So then if you do 2, then really you're only eating it 2 to 3 days. So it's not going to be something you're like, okay, I'm tired of it. And eating something is better than eating nothing. So if it's between, I don't want to eat the same thing every day and I'm not going to eat anything at all, obviously the better option is to eat something. And then the same aspect with dinner, pick 2 recipes. And when I say that, people think, oh, but I mean, my kids need to eat every day. That's true. But you're probably not cooking every night. And you're probably not eating at home every night. There's probably going to be some night where, like for us on Fridays, the kitchen is closed. I don't cook. We go out to eat, and that's just standard. So, and so think about what nights during the week are not going to be good ones for you to cook. So maybe your kids have like karate or soccer practice, whatever it is. Maybe it's a busy night for you. Maybe you have phone calls, things like that. And those are going to be nights you're not even going to attempt to try to cook. So on those nights, you could do leftovers, or you could go out to eat. You have to kind of give yourself that freedom to know that that's still going to happen and not feel guilty about it. And I think that's kind of one of my biggest points I try to push to people, because they feel like, oh, okay, I'm meeting with the chef. Like, I'm going to make breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm going to have all my meals prepped, and it's going to look Instagram and Pinterest ready. And that's cute and all, but realistically, that's probably not going to happen. You're not going to go from making no meals a week to making 15 meals a week. And that's fine. So you have to give yourself some grace in that aspect and try to start small. So one of my tips would be to pick 1 to 2 things a week to make and stick with those things. And that way it gives you a small win. And as far as like the timing of it, don't wait until the morning to do it. So for example, if you're doing oatmeal jars, those can last up to 10 days if you use something like dried fruit. And you can put them in little like mason jars or plastic containers, and you can just put them in the pantry, and they're good to go. So that way you just add your hot water or milk or whatever kind of liquid you want to use. And you at least are 10 days ahead, because if you make them, then you're fine there. For dinner, one tip that I share with clients is to make 2 meals at the same time. And so you might be thinking, I can barely make 1 meal at a time.
Exactly.
So how to make 2? And so then that kind of leads me to tell them, okay, well, or to ask them, how are these meals that you are picking? How are they being prepared? Are you picking meals that require you to stand over the stove? If that's the case, stop doing that. Pick ones that you can put in the oven, or pick ones you can put in the crock pot. Or I don't know if you're familiar with the pressure cooker, the Instant Pot. It's like the new craze. Have you heard of that yet?
So I'm Jamaican, so pressure cooker for us might be different than what is now, but I do use, my mom bought me, I think last year, the crock pot. And oh my God, that thing is life. I was like, oh, you mean I could just leave something and forget it? And she's like, yeah. And it comes out wonderful. So that's been like a legit lifesaver.
Right. Yeah. And so like with the crock pot, that's awesome, because while you're in the kitchen, if you have something in the oven, put something for dinner the next night in the crock pot. And if you love the crock pot, then the Instant Pot will knock your socks off, because it basically it's a crock pot, it's a rice cooker, you can saute inside of it, you can make a cheesecake, all this crazy stuff. And you can cook things. Yeah, I've never done it, but people are like they're amazed by it. But all these different things that you can do in there, and the best feature to me, why it kind of puts it above a crock pot, is because you can cook things safely from frozen. So for example, the meals that I make for my clients here in the Atlanta area, I do family meal kits. But if the customer's not able to eat that meal that day or that week or whatever, they can freeze their meal. And it will stay perfectly, it will preserve it because it's frozen before it's cooked. And so if you were to do what are called freezer meals, which is the process of preparing your meals, you freeze them, and then you can defrost them to put them in the crock pot. Or if you have a pressure cooker like the Instant Pot, you can just throw it directly in there frozen, and you don't have to worry about it not cooking evenly. And so
the Instant Pot like yesterday.
Yeah, that might be something good to put in the show notes. Yeah, it's amazing. And I mean, I know a lot of Black families, or maybe even Jamaican families, I'm not sure, but like your grandma or your mom had this pot, and it had like a little black knob on the top.
Yeah, we call that a pressure cooker.
Yes. So that's exactly what it is. It's basically.
But it took long.
Right. So this is an electronic version of that.
Got it.
It takes half the time.
Got it.
Like, for example, I can make frozen chicken breast in there in about 25 minutes.
Okay, because back in the days, the pressure cooker that I knew, it cooked amazing meals, but you're talking about like 3 to 5 hours.
Right. Yeah. And so
they're making sure it's sauteed and all that stuff. So no, we're not about that life.
We don't have time for that. No. So yeah, it gives you like the good flavor of that, but not having to worry about the time. So
got it. That's so awesome. I'm definitely gonna check that out. I'm gonna be honest. When you said prep your breakfast, in the ideal life of what my husband would like, that would be like a dream. Like, oh my gosh, yes, he's been saying this stuff to me for ages, but I'm just like, no, who's gonna do that? Like, yeah. And I know it's funny because we automate everything else in our life except mealtime. So I'm definitely gonna try that, especially that my kids are not super picky, so they would probably eat the same thing twice for the week with no problem. It's just like, I guess sometimes we limit our kids and we limit ourselves saying, oh, you know what, they're not going to want this, or we make the decision for them before giving them the opportunity to even try it.
Right.
So I think I'm definitely going to try that tip of doing in the prepping the breakfast. It just sounds hard.
And it doesn't have to be. And you just had two things that I do want to touch on about kids and choices, and then also automating things. And so food, if you think about it, food is something that you have to do every day. Like you have to eat for the rest of your life. So it is always very curious to me as to how people kind of let food rule their day, and how they let it take up so much of their energy and of their time. And then they, like you said, they automate other things. Like we have like a Google Calendar for all of our events, and we have like a Asana to manage projects and things like that. But then when it comes to dinner, we're like, oh, where did dinner come from? What dinner again? I got to feed you again? Yeah, every day we have to eat. Like it's not new.
Excuse me. Please do not come on my podcast talking about me like that, okay?
It was not a personal attack, and you took it that way.
That is
but like, and it's one of those things, and everybody says it. Like you're like, oh man, and especially if you have kids, you're like, I just fed you. Literally, you probably just had a snack.
My kids, I have a 2 and 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old, she's not bad. The 2-year-old, we just weaned him about 4 months ago. And we're both like, my husband's like, did he really drink breast milk like that? Because he's just like, oh my, he eats like a 16-year-old. Like he's going through the cabinet, like knocking on the door. He wants something, and I'm just like, how? Like, how is this possible? Like, like you said, I have to feed you again. Like I just fed you, and so it's a lot. What I did find that works for me as well is, what I used to do was I used to prep my meat. And when I say prep my meat, which is something that, again, Caribbean people do, is you season your meat before, like a few days before. So I'll normally do like all of that on Sunday and label it for the week. And then, like you said, in the morning, take it out and then cook by 9 o'clock. Dinner is finished. And when they're ready for dinner, it's ready. And that works. It saves you so much freaking time. But to prep, that's work itself.
It is. And that's essentially a freezer meal.
Got you.
Like essentially adding all your seasonings, adding your sauces, cleaning it, all that kind of stuff. That's a freezer meal. And it does take time, but what I like to do and what I suggest to people to do is to buy your meats in bulk. So like when it's on sale, for example, Kroger will do like chicken breasts, $1.99 ever so often or whatever. And so at that point, I'll buy like 20 pounds of meat. And then I will just take a few hours on a Saturday or whatever day. And if you have a friend who wants to do this with you, it helps the process go so much faster. And if you want to split it with them, like I know some places will allow you to kind of bargain for higher quantities. And so if you don't want to buy like half a cow yourself, because that's a lot, or like a quarter of a cow or whatever, they'll let you split it with somebody else. And so you pick a time where you have no interruptions, probably a good 2 to 3 hours. And then you just will do your seasonings. And so like maybe let's say, for example, like barbecue chicken, super simple, super easy. You would add your seasonings. If you wanted to do the sauce with it, you could, and then throw that in the crock pot and shred it up. And that's ready to go for like sliders. Maybe you want to do a couple Asian dishes, and like, don't feel like you have to do 15 different recipes. You can double up your recipes, because since it's in the freezer, it's going to last in a regular Ziploc bag, a freezer gallon size Ziploc bag. It'll last for 3 months.
Gotcha.
If you're using a food saver, are you familiar with those? They're like used to be on infomercials, and it sucks all the oxygen out of your food. I mean, out of your bag.
Yep, I saw those.
Yeah. So like if you put it in that, it can last up to a year depending upon what kind of food it is.
Ooh.
And the reason, I mean, it's not going to last up to a year because you're going to eat it. But the reason why it does that is because the reason why our food goes bad is because of the oxygenation process. So if you're taking the oxygen out of your food, then you don't have to worry about it going bad. And it's the same thing when you go to the grocery store.
You need to send us like all these tools. Or maybe everyone else has them but me.
No. I mean, I'm not going to say that people have to get a food saver unless you are going to be somebody who's going to do freezer meals.
I think that was just like, if I will legit do that. Like, if I could do that and then just take it out like every day for a month or at least 2 weeks, not even a month. I think that would save me so much time, because I think, again, it's just thinking about the process, like, oh my gosh, I have to take this meat out, I have to defrost it, then I have to season it, then I have to let it wait, and then I have to cook it. It just sounds like a lot.
That is a lot. And then if you forget to defrost it, if you don't have a pressure cooker, then that's a wrap. Like, I'm not waiting on this chicken to defrost at this point. Like, there's a meme on Facebook that's running around, or that goes around, that's like, when you're growing up and your mama told you to take the chicken out of the freezer and you forgot to take it out, and now she's pulling up in the driveway. And so that's once again, the Instant Pot to me is hands down probably the number one appliance I would recommend somebody to get, because of that feature. It saves you so much time in that aspect. But going back to the prepping your meats ahead of time, your meat is really what takes the most amount of time. Your starches and your veggies, those usually are not super long unless you're doing like rice or something. But I mean, that can go in a pressure cooker, or that can go in a rice cooker, or just a pot on the stove. So really your meat is going to be the most labor intensive thing you have to make. But if you're doing it ahead of time, like you said, 2 weeks or even a week, even like 2 days, like I don't want people to feel like, feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of times that can happen, especially like with moms. There's like all this mom judgment and like, oh, I did this and I made my kids snacks and and like, I don't want to be a part of that. And so even if you have like, you buy 4 pounds of chicken instead of 2 pounds of chicken, with the other 2 pounds you're already in the kitchen anyway. So why not take the couple, you already cleaned it, you already did whatever you need to do to it. Why not take the few extra
First of all, we hope you're cleaning your chicken.
That's another story and another tangent for
right?
They're really, and I don't know if you want me to gross people out, but really restaurants they're not instructed to clean the chicken the way that.
Don't say that because
okay,
we're gonna be like, this is why we don't eat out. This is why I keep telling you to just cook at home. This is why I told you I could help you cook. Don't do that.
I'm just letting you know.
Don't do that.
But yeah, so like basically you're already in the kitchen, so why not make the most of your time in the kitchen? If you are already going to be in there for 30 minutes, something's in the oven, while you're chopping everything, while you're doing your veggies, your onions, your peppers, go ahead and seal up some of it in just a gallon freezer bag, and then it's ready for a later day.
And what I found to be easier for me as well is, because when we were vegetarian before I had kids and they just converted me back to meat, mealtime was so easy. Like you say, you just throw some veggies in, season it, and you're good to go. And even when I have to make like a quick meal at home, those are the simplest meals for me. Like just sauteing vegetables, and you're like, oh, my husband's like, you're finished? I'm like, oh yeah, that's it. So like you said, meat is like the consuming factor for us. So guys, if you're a vegetarian, we know you don't have these issues.
Right. But then with them, a lot of times, and vegans as well, they have the creativity issue. They're like, oh, well, how can I make these veggies taste different? Or how can I
put some curry and jerk sauce on it? Y'all good.
Yeah. So just kind of being creative with the seasonings and stuff.
Yeah, you just need some nice seasoning. So can you give us some tips in terms of maybe some meal ideas for the kids? Because I know we've been talking about us preparing the meal, but like some simple meals that we can prepare for the kids throughout the day, especially if everyone listening, kids are like mine, that you're just eating around the clock. Like, what are some quick snacks that we can make for them that is going to be healthy, is fast to make, or we could even prep it before time?
So when you say that, do you mean kids that are not in school yet? So they're just in the house, or like over the summer while they're eating you at a house at home?
So let's say between 2 and 6.
Okay. For kids, what's very important is that you establish times where it's time to eat, just like any other routine of the day. You say, okay, it's bedtime. We have our rituals. We put on this music. We take a bath. Now it's time to eat. The same structure that happens with everything else that you do with them needs to happen around mealtime. And it needs to be something where if they're allowed to have a snack, it needs to be like, okay, around this time. And I know kids are kind of unpredictable. But in the same token, the standard that you set for them, and if you stick to it, they really don't have a choice, because they're not gonna, your little one, you said you'll go in the pantry, but if you put the food higher than he can reach it, he can't get himself a snack. And so, and this kind of comes from, like, I'm a teacher by trade. And so with elementary school age kids, and so they're a little older than the group you're talking about. But I find that a lot of times parents give in because they are worried about their kids being hungry, or they think it's just easier to give them the food and not have to worry about them having a tantrum or things like that. Is that kind of the case that you find as well?
Oh no, my kids, no, they don't play that with me.
Okay. They don't lay down the hammer, like you set the tone.
Yeah, we set the tone.
Okay, good.
In the house, but it's just at the same time, I'm not gonna like say you can't eat. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm not the I'm not the assertive one, parent.
Mhm.
So I'm just like, oh, you're hungry again? Here you go. Or, oh,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
he brings me a snack and I'm like, oh, yeah, let me open it. And that's it.
Okay.
I don't think about, oh, well, he just ate. Like, he's full.
Yeah.
He's just looking at it and he just wants to open it, Tara. No. Um,
Right.
so, yeah, it's not even about the tantrum part.
Okay. So then, yeah, that's another caveat then. So basically, same kind of concept. Whatever your kid is doing, just like with tablets or any other thing that you would allow your kid to use or have, or TV or whatever, you want to monitor it to the point where it's not just excessive, because kids will eat until they get sick, and they will eat to the point where they're going to throw up. And not saying your kids are doing that, but you want to kind of set boundaries for them so they can also try to self-manage. With the younger ones, that's a little harder. But like you said, a 4-year-old, with them, they can think about, okay, well, we just ate breakfast. I watched maybe a TV show, or maybe like after nap time, maybe that's when I'll have my snack. And so it doesn't have to be where they know exactly the time of day, but they know this is my ritual and I know my snack is coming later. So right now I cannot ask for a snack because it is not snack time. And so since your daughter's older, correct?
Yep.
For you? Okay. So since your daughter is there, that's a good model for your son, because then he can see, okay, well, she's doing this, and then, okay, she's not eating right now. And it'll get easier with him as he gets older.
Hope so. My pocket hope so.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously boys and girls generally have different eating habits as well. But the things that are made available to kids are really what they'll explore and try to eat. For the most part, kids are pretty open to what you give them, especially if they see you eating it, then they want to try it. So if it's something that you're like, okay, I want my kid to eat more. Sorry. I want my kid to eat more vegetables or whatever, like carrot sticks, for example, are a good option.
Yeah.
You've seen like the celery with the peanut butter on it.
Oh, yeah.
Protein with the veggie. Or like whole wheat crackers with little cheese cubes or cheese slices are good, because then you have the healthy fat with the whole grain as well. Fruit's always a good option. You do want to be careful that they're not overloading on fruit, just because it has a lot of sugar in it. But any natural sugar is going to be better than obviously like a soda. So, but for them, I would say one thing you can also do is to prep snacks. And that might sound like another thing that you're like, I don't know about this.
No, that's actually good.
And so using little snack size Ziploc bags, they're about half the size of a sandwich bag. What you can do is have like a little basket in your fridge. And for your younger ones, you can actually color code it. So like maybe just put some tape on it. Like if you've heard of like washi tape or like some kind of decorative tape or whatever. Yeah. And so maybe one's like a morning snack color and then one's an afternoon snack color. And they can pick something from this basket in the morning and then this basket in the afternoon. And then that way they have a choice. So it still seems like, ooh, I'm going through the goodie basket to like get what I want. And it's not restrictive for them. But you have already picked as the parent what options are going to go in there.
That's good. That's good.
And
I'm
the
just
same
thinking about all of the prepping.
Yeah, and you don't have, I mean, there's things that are already pre-prepped, like carrot sticks and those you can buy from the store already in like little snack size bags. Apple slices you can buy from the store. It doesn't have to be things that you are physically prepping yourself. Like Ritz crackers, they'll come in a little personal size.
Yeah, because they do sell a lot of those at the supermarket. You'll see them already packaged. So guys, if you're like me, you don't want to do all the work. They're like normally like $1 something. So guys, get those.
Yeah. And that's kind of the same thing I tell other people, is that don't feel like you have to prep everything from scratch. Like buying garlic that's already diced, do it, because no one has time to be peeling garlic. Like that's fine. Or like the sliced veggies, the onions and the peppers that are already cut up. If it saves you time and you can afford it, then there's no reason to feel guilty about doing that kind of stuff.
Got it. See, guys, I told you she was going to help us out. She wasn't going to leave us hanging out here. This is great info. So guys, I hope you're taking notes and I hope you're implementing them as we go, because I'm going to implement them. I'm going to be sharing them on our IG story and tag Ashley so she can be like, oh, I'm so proud of you, girl. You did it.
Yes, and if anybody else tries these strategies out, definitely tag me. I am at Chef Ashley Shep, SHEP on all social media. So I would love to see what your progress is or answer any questions that you have.
Yeah, definitely. This was so much fun. We're definitely gonna implement these things, right, guys? Right? And like she said, when you do, tag her in it. And can you share with us, first of all, our audience, our listeners, if you have any other tips for us that you think we definitely need to take and start implementing today? And also, how can we reach you? How can we follow you for more amazing tips and advice like this?
Okay, yeah, sure. So I would say the biggest tip, if you have kids that are older than 4 or an advanced 3-year-old, or if you have a partner or a husband that's in the house with you, is to let them help you and let go of the idea that it has to be done correctly. And I'm using air quotes, even though you can't see me. A lot of times
We're trying.
like, done is better than perfect.
True.
And like, if the laundry gets done and the socks don't match, it's done, and that's one less thing you have to do. If your husband picks up the online groceries from the grocery store, like mine does, like I'll order it via Kroger, or like Instacart is another option, and he picks it up on his way home from work. And so I've kind of controlled what we're buying because I'm ordering it, but then he's able to help out by picking it up and unloading it. That's going to save you time and energy. And it's going to save you money because you're not going to the grocery store hangry.
That's so true.
Yeah. And if you have, like, I said 4 and up, for the kids, if you have kids and they're able to help, I'm sorry, no, correction. Your kids are able to help. If you have kids, they need to help you. This should not be something where it's just you are responsible for every aspect of dinner or breakfast or lunch. Helping could mean they're packing their own lunches, and that could be as young as like 7 or 8, with obviously parameters. You're going to give them options. You could do the prepackaged snacks for them, or you could do the color-coded bins like we talked about. But instead, if you were doing it for lunch, you would do like a protein bin, then like a veggie bin, and then like a fruit bin. So that way they know I have to get one of each of these and put it in my lunchbox. Like, past 3rd grade, you packing lunches should not be your job.
True. No lies told at all. No lies told. This is so much fun. I'm definitely for sure going to take on this challenge and implement them and tag you in them. So you could be
awesome.
Like, she did the work. And I'm not going to be like you guys out there that's not going to do the work. Let me not judge you.
No judgment.
We're all going to do this together. We're all going to make a difference because, guys, it's so crucial for us to really start taking care of ourselves. And I know we get caught up in this, everyday life of taking care of the little one, but we need to get back to regular things like drinking water every day, meal prepping every day so we have our intake, and that way we can continue to take care of our family. So that is very, very important. And I'm glad Ashley came on today to be able to share some of her expert advice for us to simplify our life. I'm going to put all the suggestions and the tools and the products that she advises that we can use to implement and to help us to manage our day-to-day life when it comes to prepping our meals. So I'm definitely going to put those in the link, and I'm going to try that pot out because that just sounds like magic.
It's so necessary. It's like,
yeah, I'm like, nobody told me about it. So I guess no one loved me enough. But
now you know, so now you can't unknow.
Right.
And,
I'm going to try it.
Yes. And so, I didn't say how to get in contact with me. So all social media, my website, it's all Chef Ashley Shep. And then I'll give you links and stuff to put in there. So Instagram, Facebook, my website is just chefashleyshep.com. And if you're in the Atlanta area and you don't have time to prep these kind of things for you, I do what are called family style meal kits. And they include 4 servings of a protein, a veggie, and a starch. And they are ready in about 30 minutes or less. There's 5 steps or less. So that way you are ready to just start with the cooking. You don't have to do any chopping, no dicing, no slicing, no grocery shopping, none of that stuff. And we handle that for you.
And when are you going to take this beyond Atlanta?
I know. People keep asking me. I want to
figure that out.
People like in Maryland, and then somebody in California asked me today. I want to make sure that it's able to be distributed properly, just because with food, I take pride in knowing who I'm serving. For example, with the families, I make sure that if you have an allergy, that I don't include that in your items. Or like I have a couple families, they don't like black beans, so then I replace those kind of things with other stuff. And so I will say you are probably the fifth person who's asked me. So I know that's God telling me, like, get it together so that at some point
get it together.
So I am looking at that and looking at options, and probably looking at that in the next year or two. So
Great. Well, we are wishing you the best. And once you open it up, let us know, because I'm sure everybody that is not within the Atlanta area is going to be asking, because you just gave us all these nuggets and then you dropped it on us like, hey, but I do this for you too. So I think most of us are like, girl, we don't want to do this still. So.
Right. And for my folks that are not in Atlanta, I am working on different ebooks, and I have a couple online trainings to be able to show you how to do it.
Awesome.
Virtually, if you're not able to order meals. So all of that's on my website, chefashleyshep.com.
That's awesome. Well, thank you again for joining us. We're definitely going to check out all your work and your website, and make sure you follow Chef Ashley on social media. And if you take any of her advice, make sure you tag her and tag us in it. But until next time, guys, keep the sanity, keep parenthood alive, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. We're going to definitely be talking about that a lot on the podcast, because we always talk about the kiddos and they're fine. Like, they eat, sleep, and poop all day. They're fine. So we need to figure out how to eat, sleep, and poop as well.
Exactly, because they're not going to stop. They're going to stop.
So until next time, guys, we'll see you. Bye. Hey, darlings. Today's podcast is sponsored by Darlyng, a lifestyle baby brand providing eco-friendly and safe baby products. Our goal is to save you time, money, and let's be real, your sanity. With so many toxic products on the market, we wanted to ensure you have peace of mind when purchasing our products, from our antibacterial bowl and sippy cups that, get this, does not mold, our newborn scratch mittens to prevent your little one from scratching their precious face, to our ABC affirmation flashcards to empower and build confidence from an early age. We've got you covered. Shop with us today at darlyngco.com, Darlyng with a Y instead of a I, and use the code DarlingPodcast to save 15% off your first purchase today. Be sure to also join us in our amazing Facebook group to connect with other parents and continue this amazing conversation. Just head on over to Facebook and search Darlyng Parent Circle. See you there.